Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekend Rental, episode 88. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. My name is Ryan. As always, I'm joined by Andy.
Hey.
And Nate.
What it do, fools?
Wow. All right. If you enjoy our content, you can find all sorts of other great geeky-related content, whether it's podcasts, articles, and more on a variety of topics, movies, video games, music. It's all there over at geekade.com. What is your geek? So, it's been a long one. We went a month. We didn't do an episode. We recorded early. This is weird. I don't know how to podcast anymore, but Black Friday happened. Kinda.
Well,
Black Friday post-COVID happened.
it's still happening, I think.
Yeah, still going. It's tail end. Cyber Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday-ish.
Right.
Right. Cyber Wednesday, technically, at this point, right?
Yeah.
We're all cyber now.
Where everyone
Yeah.
tells you not to enjoy family during Thanksgiving, but get out there on Black Friday and get those deals.
I mean, was someone saying that? I think it was all the same thing. Shop from home, stay at home.
I don't know. I just saw some like funny memes where people are like, yeah, we can't have Thanksgiving, but they're in this like massive Black Friday line.
Right,
Yeah.
Well, there was no doorbusters this year, right? Like, there was no reason to go to a store.
No.
So there were some amazing deals, especially first-party Nintendo stuff. But if you're one of us, you probably buy those games almost day one. So to me, it was like, this is great. These are amazing deals. I paid full price when this came out, or at least within a few days of it coming out. So a $30 price tag on Mario Tennis Aces was not enough to like bring me over. The only other one I kind of considered was, what was the other one? Yeah, another mediocre one that I didn't care about. But there were some good prices. Did you guys pick anything up, like gaming related?
Well, I found myself on going out on, I can't even remember what day it is. I think it was, it might have been Friday afternoon without even knowing that it was Black Friday. So I found myself at Target. I had to pick up some baby stuff and whatever else.
Congratulations, by the way.
Hey, thank you. Edition. Got one past the goalie. I don't know. I feel like
three, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's a North Dakotan saying. Look, got one past the goalie, right?
Or there's this entire country north of us that probably also thinks that's our saying.
Maybe for our Canadian
Canada
listeners.
might have patented that.
Right. The first time I actually heard that was in North Dakota, and I didn't get it at all. It took me the longest time. I was like, "What's the goalie?" Like, I don't get it. And yeah. So. Lady parts.
Also soccer.
Lady parts was the goalie.
Or football. But yes, good job on your goalie passing.
Yeah, I got that. So I found myself going out and doing some Black Friday shopping for baby as far as like diapers and things like that. And so, of course, when you're in Target, you're going to go down the gaming aisles. And it was pretty quiet. You know, there wasn't a lot of people. But I was kind of disappointed on the deals. I mean, obviously, it's good to see Zelda Breath of the Wild finally coming down in price. I think it was still like $44.99 or whatever. You know, sometimes I look for those really cheap Switch games, or what I think would be cheap Switch games, like Puyo Puyo, Tetris, Bomberman. Just some of those that you're like, I could get it. And so it's in the clearance area and you scan it, it's $20. And I'm like, I feel like I would pay $9 for that one, $9.99. And so I didn't think the deals were outstanding. Some of the PS4 stuff wasn't too bad. Titanfall 2 was $5, but I've played it and it's on PlayStation Plus. So it's on Game Pass as well. So some of those titles that looked interesting, I've played. And so do I want one just sitting on the shelf? Probably not.
Yeah.
No PS5s, no Xboxes. There were some people asking, and I did catch a conversation between a dad and a son when they walked to the Xbox aisle looking for this new Xbox. And he goes, well, there's one right there. And the kid's like, I don't think that's the new one. He's like, what's the Xbox X or whatever?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh, do I intervene or do I just let this on? So exactly what we've talked about in the last couple podcasts was happening right before my eyes, but I let it just unfold, and I don't think they purchased anything. I hope not.
That's probably wise. The last time I intervened in a conversation like that, it was over hard drive prices, and I was like, guys, don't buy this $130 thing that's green and says Xbox on it. Go to Best Buy, spend $60 and get the same thing. It'll work. And the guy looked at me like I was just a degen, like who had no business being there. I'm like, all right, thanks. Bye.
So this one says Xbox.
Right. I made the mistake on that day going out. So I took my daughter with me. And this is just a funny side note. I wore sweatpants and a red sweater and or sweatshirt or whatever.
So your typical douche attire.
Going to Target. What do they all wear there?
Oh, sure.
Sweatpants and a sweatshirt. So
well, I think they wear khakis. They're not like fucking bums. But,
well,
okay.
Anyways, so my daughter thinks it's funny to constantly grab stuff and walk up to me and be like, how much is this? Hey, sir, can you tell me where this is? I'm looking for this. And I'm like, you are a jerk. And so other people are coming close like, oh, is he helping you out? And I was like, don't work here. Don't. My kid is sick like that.
That's where you backhand your daughter.
This is the same girl when we were at Menards would say, I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? You're a stranger. And say it so loud where people are like, are you in danger? She's sick. She is sick. Sorry, I digress. Andy, what'd you find?
Though.
How do I follow that?
I don't know.
He found a well-behaved child who hasn't tormented him yet.
Oh, my wife has pulled the goalie, by the way.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
You gotta keep your dick on the ice, right?
I got a bunch of those Switch games. That was about the only thing that really caught my eye. Yeah.
Yeah, those are good cuts.
Like I didn't have Yoshi's or Mario Maker or
how much were those?
So
15?
30 at GameStop if you had the 30, rewards are like 26 or
20,
something, weren't they?
27, yeah, 26.99. Yeah.
Yeah, those are like unheard of prices for first party stuff.
Yeah. They're obviously trying to compete with the new stuff, I think.
Right.
Keep Nintendo in people's minds. But yeah, outside of that, I didn't see anything all that crazy.
Yeah, I went on the Best Buy thing because I knew I wasn't going to do GameStop. So on Best Buy, I got Maneater because I was curious on that. It looks like dumb video game fun. It's $12. You're a shark, you eat people. And then I've been wanting a new Xbox controller, not because I play a lot of Xbox, but I wanted one with the new Bluetooth so I could use it on my gaming PC. I had not purchased an Xbox controller since buying my original Xbox One console. I didn't realize how much better they made that controller. It's not like this piece of shit held together with like bubble gum and like tape. It actually feels like a solid controller. So good on them. Maybe I've done that from the get-go, but yeah, it's great. I was able to sync it to my Windows 10 PC, enjoying that. And then other than that, I think I bought, just because I was there, I bought Civ 6, $10 at Best Buy, and then Medieval, $10. Nothing exciting. You know, the controller was really what I was after. I was just looking for like a comfortable wireless controller for my PC, and it's been good. I've been playing some Game Pass games since then. I got Golf with Friends. I've been crushing my son at that. That's been good. I played that weird Lonely Mountain Downhill game that I just can't wrap my head around the fact that like whatever I see, I directionally control. So that's been kicking my ass, but it's fine. I'll probably play Gears 5 here sooner or later and maybe finish Gears Tactics. I'm not sure. But yeah, wasn't much going on. Oh, and hot tub. Bought a hot tub Black Friday.
Where are you going to put that?
Don't you worry. I'll find a spot for
Are you going to put it in your garage with your arcades?
No, it would ruin my arcades.
Because the arcades are on wheels, then you could just pull it up to you in the hot tub in winter.
Well, that's what I did when I was 15 and my parents got a hot tub. I pulled my CRT TV out, put it on a table, and had my PlayStation controller in the hot tub with me. until my dad came home and was like, "You're gonna die." And I'm like, "No, I'm fine." He's like, "No, you're gonna die." And then he took it away. But no, we're gonna put it outside. So
that's a big deal.
I mean, not really. It was $200 from Walmart. It blows up. It's a cheap piece of shit.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like one of those.
No, this is like I could spend $200 and get a hot tub. I mean, I don't need it. I don't want it. It might work.
How many people does it hold?
It says 2 to 4. I'm going to guess 2.
So me and my wife can come over for...
Sure, but no. I mean,
for 3 and 4?
COVID. Ooh. All right. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to work out. It says it's got like this like whatever. I don't know. They got some term for it, like frost layer. So it's supposed to work all year round, although I don't know if they're really familiar with like 40 below.
None of them
So we're going to see. I think my plan is going to be I'm going to buy insulated foam like sheets at Menards. I'm going to set that on top of it. And then I'm going to also build a box to go around like the heating element and pump thing. And then put a warming lamp in there because I don't trust that my $200 hot tub from Walmart is going to actually work when it's 30 or 40 below.
You never know. You never know.
But it was $200. So I'm like, it's a gamble, right? If I use it twice, it's fine.
Yep.
Great. If not, I'm throwing it away and money well spent. Or not. Either way.
That's kind of like how real hot tubs are though too. Like you use them twice.
Sure.
You give them away for free.
That's true. It's true. I saved a lot of money.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a weird Black Friday.
Yeah.
There were good deals, but not for people who already buy games and have Game Pass, I feel like.
And even like, people go crazy for TVs. You can buy the TVs for the same price all the way, all year long at this point. And so
I got that 60. So right before Black Friday, like halfway or 2 weeks before Black Friday, I walked into Walmart to get hand sanitizer for my kid's birthday party. And they had 65-inch 4K TVs for $228. So I have a new 65-inch 4K TV. In
so you went to spend $6 on hand sanitizer.
I went to spend $15 and I spent like $230 because I was like, I can't not buy a 4K 65-inch TV for $228. So That's been nice. It's actually pretty sweet. And then my old 55-inch 4K is going to go at my garage.
Which you bought last year or 2 years ago?
God, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. But that was like, that's the crazy thing is that was almost $500 with tax.
Sure.
That many, like 3 years ago. And like, I swear TV prices cut in half every year. It's unbelievable.
We're going to buy TVs for $30 next year.
Probably. I just don't get it.
And it's like at that point where you're like, this is too cheap. I have to buy it even though I don't have a place for it. Like,
I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Plus I got a bonus like strange spider in the box that was still alive. I don't know what country that came from. I crushed it immediately because it could kill me maybe. I don't know. It was huge. Like seriously an inch.
Wow.
Still, it had a web in there. It was just hanging out, ready to pounce.
And you're like, you're dying.
Happy Thanksgiving,
now.
Motherfucker. I feel like that's how
this is the next disease.
What was that movie with the there's a spider movie. Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
That was like basically the start of that movie. Instead of a guy in a coffin with some spiders, it was a dude with a TV and a spider. So
that's nice.
Yeah, I crushed the shit out of it because I was like, I can't take a chance.
Just in case it had babies in it or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, right. Because it could have been poisonous. I don't know. Where did it come from? Somewhere warm and not near me, I'm sure.
It came from China and you are screwed.
I got the COVID from it. Damn it.
It's the Rona spider now.
Mask. Yeah. It's a problem. It's a real problem. Anybody been playing anything?
Not really. I mean, I jumped into Game Pass the other day. It's been so long since I've really played games. I think the last game that I really played was Diablo with you. When I went into the hospital, when me and my wife were having a baby, I decided to jump into Link to the Past. Just because I had my Switch and the Super Nintendo app. And so I was like, well, I'll jump into something that I haven't played in a long time. And so I started getting lost really, really fast. And so I started using a guide. And then I text Ryan, and Ryan body shamed me on using a guide. And he's like,
you're like, no, you can't shame me. Like, I'm enjoying this.
Not a real gamer or whatever. And then you're all over me. And
I sent him that Chappelle, like, y'all got any more of them facts? I think my quote was like, yeah, it starts out as like a wiki, and I'm like, next thing you know, you're blowing 3 guys in an alley for a Prima guide to like Gears of War 2.
I like the convenience that I could. I'm not a person that used guides at all, or really any of that kind of stuff. I used some of the maps in, I can't remember what Nintendo magazine it was for Metroid. Which it's just helpful having a full entire layout. So I decided to talk back to Ryan and be like, guides are great, love it. And then basically ended that text, and I put the guide away because I felt dirty. And so the game, which was fun, is now a grind, and I am still chipping away at that beast. So
see, I feel like A Link to the Past and Breath of the Wild are both best without a guide, because the shit you find accidentally along the way without it is the stuff that makes it great. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're never going to hit some of that stuff if you do a guide.
That is very true. And I've learned that. The frustrating part of that game, and I don't know if you guys have completed it or gotten close or anything like that. You're in this overworld, and then all of a sudden you get close to the end of that overworld, and then now it's going to the dark world.
Right.
And so you just kind of have to grind and go back and forth between the light world, dark world, and that gets a little old, trying to, okay, now I got to go over here and figure out where this is going to be. And it's amazing. I mean, when I've really jumped in this game, it's really amazing how much they put into it and how much hidden stuff there is, and where you're walking along so many mountainsides looking for just a crack in the rocks where you can throw a bomb, and then you're throwing a bomb at stuff, and then nothing's happening. And it's like, oh, you needed a bigger bomb for that. And just stuff like that gets frustrating, but it's also enjoyable at the same time. So I believe I think I have one fairy left that I need to get in the dark world, and then it's off to Ganon. Is it Ganon or Ganondorf? I don't know. Ganondorf.
Right? Was it Ganon? Or I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's
Ganon. I think you're right.
And so I'm going to jump into that.
Pig wizard.
Yeah.
There you go.
So hopefully it goes well. It's a pain, but just want to get it done. I think of those classics all the time that I'm like, man, so many people talk about how great certain games are, and I love them, but I never finish them. And so
yeah,
I feel like I want to just complete some of these bigger titles, like Super Metroid, never beat. So maybe jump into that, and stuff like
those
that.
Are like Link to the Past. Maybe, I don't know about Super Metroid, but Link to the Past for sure, I feel like is one of those games that like you could have spent hundreds of hours in as a kid, maybe like technically never beat, but you still built up that nostalgia for it. Like, because I put probably, I don't know, 200 hours into that game. I never actually completed it. I got hung up on I did multiple saves, restarts, but like my furthest one, I got hung up on like Dark World, like Castle or Dungeon 6. And I just could not figure it out. And I walked away for too many weeks, and by the time I came back, it was over. But that doesn't like deter my love for it. I mean, it's just, and I've seen the end boss, right? Because I did the thing we all did when we were kids. Before we owned the game, I rented it. And there was always like the save that was like 100%ed, right? And you just didn't touch that. Like, out of respect, you just left it. But you could load in, you could fight Ganon, and I fought and beat Ganon. I didn't get there on my own.
Yeah.
But I had all the power-ups and got to see it, so it was cool.
Yeah.
That's weird with like Zelda, with them, now that I'm thinking about it, that like Link to the Past or Breath of the Wild are not ones that you would use a guide, but I can't imagine playing Ocarina of Time without a guide, at least some hints, like in some of those temples. Because I used a lot of that guide and maps to figure that out.
I mean, I remember getting stuck on stuff for weeks, like the Ocarina in Link to the Past. I didn't get like how you used it and like where you went the first time to do it. And like that was weeks of me beating my head against the wall, and finally like a random playground chat like at school. I was like, oh,
no, sure.
Okay, I guess I'm going there. Yeah. And then, but I mean, there were multiple instances like that for me. I mean, pre-internet, what did you do, right?
Right. I think the cool thing, I may have mentioned this to you, Ryan, when you're roaming around on Link to the Past, and then you know, I've completed Breath of the Wild a couple of times and really have dove into that game. And so when you're walking around Link to the Past, you're like, oh yeah, that's that, or that's this in Breath of the Wild. I think that excited me a lot more, and that I found that much later from, you know, putting the guide away and roaming around, and then you're talking to a whole bunch of people and you're like, oh, this is this. And I think that made my appreciation grow a little bit more towards just that whole franchise and how much they do their best. I know there's some of those really random things that they do, but they do their best to carry things in a timeline, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so speaking of Breath of the Wild, my son, the last couple of weeks, I played it on the Wii U. My save file's on the Wii U. But I did buy it when it was on sale.
Because you're the only one that bought it on the Wii U.
It runs great in the Wii U. I love my Wii U. It's a great console. But yeah, probably. I was the only one at launch day of the Switch walking in, like proudly walking in with my Wii U copy of that game. But my son started playing it on his Switch Lite the last couple of weeks, and like he had just gotten like the exploration phase. He'd gotten off of like the tier. He'd gotten the 3 shrines. I just let him kind of do whatever he wanted. And then he was looking at some stuff and asked me questions. And I'm looking at his map, and I'm like, his map is just minuscule. I'm like, dude, number one, you gotta start exploring. Like, start looking for towers, climbing the towers. So he did that. He did good. He got some places. And then I was like, and now, if you want to beat the game, you got to find the bosses. I'm like, so first, unlock the map. I'm like, and I pointed out generally, I'm like, there's a guy up in this area. There's another one over here. And anyway, he ended up he went to the Zoran shrine, the fish people first, which is the one I did first. And he'd found Redondo or whatever the fucking elephant is. And I was like, cool, man. Like, good job. Like, he got there. He's all excited. And I'm like, now you got to get 20 electric arrows from this asshole on this mountain. And he hated that. And he played it the same way I did, where he like grabbed an arrow, ran like hell, grabbed an arrow, ran like hell. Because you don't just take on like the Hinox, or not the Hinox, but I forget. But you don't, the horse dude.
Yeah.
So then he's playing that, and he had gotten to, God, I want to say it was like Friday night last weekend. He had gotten to that approach to the elephant where you're like doing the lightning arrows and you're shooting down the points to get into it.
Yep.
And that's as far as he'd gotten. And then I woke up Sunday morning and he's just like freaking out. He's like, I beat the first Ganon person. I'm like, no, you didn't, did you? He's like, yeah, I beat him, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, legit. He had, like, I hadn't helped him. He probably, knowing my son, he probably watched a YouTube guide or two because that's the way he is. But yeah, fully beat First Shrine without my help, which is awesome.
That's cool.
Which, yeah, and then I look at it as the bosses in that game are much more difficult than like Link to the Past bosses or anything like that. Especially, what is it? The Gerudo Desert? Is it the Gerudo Desert?
The volcano? No, the desert one is tough. Yeah,
he's hard. The Blythe or whatever it is, Thunder Blythe or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
that one you have to not have any metal. Stuff like that guy kicks my ass.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I told him.
That's amazing that your son can do that, though. That's incredible.
Yeah, 7 years old, like just 7. He just turned 7. So then I told him, I was like, dude, here's my advice. I'm like, you did good. Like, go explore, find more shrines. I think if you go to the center of the map, I'm telling you, the easiest one after this is the bird one. Like, do the bird one. So what does he do? He's like, no, I see a volcano. I'm going to go to it. I'm like, dude, you're going to burn to death. Plus, you need like at least 3,000 rupees to buy the armor you need not to burn to death. Like, my suggestion is you don't do that. So what does that little shit do? He goes for the volcano over and over and over and over again. And he gets to town and he gets to the store. I'm like, hey, you got to buy this armor set. Do you have the money? He's like short $1,500. And then like he just starts grinding and now he's got the armor and he's sitting on that boss too. He's been there for a week. And I was like, this was a bad choice for your second one, but good for you, I guess.
That's amazing. Your son is pretty impressive when it comes to video games.
He's good. Before I came down tonight, he was like, show me a guide. I'm like, no, I'm not cheapening this for you. I'm like, look at everything differently.
Call
like
Uncle Nate. He'll do that.
So I expect by this weekend he'll have two of the beasts down, and then hopefully he takes his time and like, because he hasn't really hit the villages. I mean, it's hard for him because he can't read a lot of the text yet. I mean, he can read some, but you know, the names are weird in Zelda. But yeah, he's well on his way to beating that, like pretty legitimately. I really try not to help him. I mean, I read stuff for him when he asks, but that's about it.
How about the shrines? Does he kind of get a lot of those puzzles by himself then too? Yeah,
he gets a lot. He did one. Wow. He did the one that was like in the Goro village where you have to take like the mine. That was a big argument too. Huge argument. So you have to like take the mine cart and put it on the rails, right? And he's like, I'm going to use a bomb. I'm like, no, son. Like, you don't use a bomb. That's dumb. You use stasis. This is a stasis puzzle. He's like, no, but I'll break my weapons. And he wouldn't do it. And he only threw bombs out the back. I'm like, fine, whatever. And he made it. Little son of a bitch made it. But anyway, he gets to the shrine there. And that shrine is pretty complicated. Like, you need pretty good arrow shots to like carry the flames across in a couple spots. And he got, I bet he spent like 2 hours on that. And he got to a point, he's like, no, I'm leaving it. This is dumb. And that is the only shrine that I was like, no, let me help you. I'll line this up and like help you out, go through it. But other than that, yeah, like he's legit figured it out. I mean, some of them he just walks away from. He's just happy to get the map travel points. He doesn't care if he gets the completion. But for the most part, yeah, he's doing great.
That's crazy.
So I got a question for you guys. Like, there's a couple games out now, Genshin Impact, which is a free-to-play game. And the new Ubisoft one, Immortals Phoenix Rising or something like that.
Looks exactly, like the watered-down version.
Both of those are just basically Breath of the Wild. Now, do you enjoy playing those games because they're more of what you love, or do you think it ruins the original experience, so you avoid it?
Did I watch that IG? Like, I fully expect I'll try that Immortals game when it inevitably hits like a free monthly subscription or Game Pass. But like, I watched IGN's review of that, and like when I saw him picking up the stuff with like the magnet powers, and like how I was like, this is like they literally pulled this, and then they went to the character menu, like the pause menu, and I'm like, they've so blatantly copied and pasted this that I find it all extremely irritating, and I'm less inclined to want to pick that up, I guess. That's just me.
No, I think I'd be the same way. And I think some of it, the name is a big thing too. You know, the Zelda name is, I don't play a ton of those types of games. And so I'm just not attracted to things outside of those very nostalgic titles like Zelda and Mario's and things like that kind of draws you in. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
It feels a little bit like a guy like growing his hair out, growing a beard, putting on a robe and walking around and telling me he's Jesus. Like, I get equally offended, I think, too. Like, that's what it's the video game version of that. Like, I don't appreciate that. You just leave it alone. There's something holy about the original source material that you just shouldn't blatantly copy and try to pass off as something that isn't. Like, it's gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
And they do it worse. Like you said with Darksiders and Diablo. Like, they wish they could have done that. And I argued with you, and then I started playing Diablo, and I was like, oh, I see how this is the cheap Chinese knockoff.
Camera shouldn't zoom out to 10,000%. That's not good.
Yeah. So I hate that when you cannot be original and you have to just take everybody else's ideas and not just, hey, that's a good idea, we should try something like that. but let's make it identical. That sucks.
I mean, there's something to be said about the people who like will never cross that, like for whatever reason, or the weird freak who just will not pick up Nintendo. There's something to be said for those people who get to experience some of like the more interesting elements of those games in these bastard offshoots on like an Xbox or a PlayStation. But I think for the rest of us, I feel very little incentive to. In fact, I'd rather just not give them any attention because it's so grossly just pulled from the source material.
Yeah, those two are especially, it's just like they are just copying art style and stamina wheels and all that stuff. It's just like, okay. But I mean, there's been plenty of games that are Zelda ripoffs, like the formula of Zelda, but they skin it enough where it's
like Oceanhorn. Yeah, Oceanhorn is very clearly, but those games are still enough of not Zelda. Like if you like Zelda, you will probably also like this thing that isn't exactly as good as Zelda, but pays tribute. There's tribute, and then there's just ripping off.
Yeah, even Darksiders 1 is basically Zelda.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, so it's that formula.
Yeah,
3D Zelda anyway, like Ocarina. It's basically like Ocarina of Time. Yeah.
Yeah. Get different powers to get to new temples and shit like that. So
yeah. When I saw those reviews, I was just like, holy crap! Like, some of that's bad.
Yeah. Well, in that free to play one, it's like the top grossing thing on the App Store now.
So what is this free to play one again?
It's called Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. Okay.
So it's like it's basically Breath of the Wild, but it's like random. You get random characters and you buy, mystery boxes and whatever shit.
Oh yes, I do know what you're talking about. But with anime skanks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. If only Zelda had shown a little more cleave, maybe.
Hey, that was the sexiest Zelda so far, so.
Yeah. I mean, she at least spoke. Maybe we'll get a Link who can do more than like, ah! It does make me super excited seeing these clone games though for our proper Breath of the Wild 2, and I think isn't next year the 35th of Zelda, so they're hinting at potentially another big like Kuzabazza of like probably limited bullshit and dumb things from Nintendo, but hopefully we'll at least get Breath of the Wild 2. I'm also hopeful we'll get a Game & Watch Zelda version. Personally, I think it would be neat. I always wanted that one as a kid, so if it came back out and I could get it, that'd be great. But yeah. I mean, I think it's all Nintendo has going for it next year, right? Even if they announce a new version of the Switch, I think if they don't have the killer app, it's not going to matter. I don't know.
Yeah, that pretty much needs to come out, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, a ROM dump of the first 3 games.
Yeah. Did you guys see, this is just kind of random, I didn't have them on my list, but did you guys see they broke out Red Dead Online from Red Dead? And you can buy Red Dead Online separately for $5 up until February 21st or something, or 5th. So you can still upgrade it later to the full game, but if you just want to spend $5, it's not a bad deal.
I don't think anybody's interested in that game right now in this podcast.
Oh no, I know, but I think that's what they're going for too. Is Rockstar's realizing that they've made such a mess out of Red Dead Online that maybe if they can get the user base up, because you think about GTA 5, a game that's been out for when did that come out? 2013, 7 years now. It's superseded 2 console generations at this point, and it's still going strong and generating billions of dollars. So I think they probably want to try to get a little taste of that. I don't think they'll replicate it, but.
So I'm probably not so familiar with the issues, like the online issues of Red Dead. So what were the problems?
I haven't played really any of it. I've just heard that it feels very lifeless compared to the original game, where Grand Theft Auto Online still felt like mostly the full game was there for the most part, but I think you take those wide open spaces and you remove a lot of those like weird NPC encounters that happen in Red Dead, and it really starts to feel barren. But I mean, and I think like a lot of the missions were like matchmaking stuff where there wasn't just like, I don't know, a lot happens in Grand Theft Auto Online to me, like naturally, where people are like targeting each other and like driving cars at each other, but that doesn't really translate to horses, and there's no airplanes, you're limited, right because of the settings. So I think it's a harder sell, and I think they've had a harder time. I know there's been major glitches too, which is funny because I think people forget that Grand Theft Auto Online launched almost a year after it was supposed to, and then the day it launched, it was so broken nobody could get into it, and it was like months later before you could even get online. So there's still time for them in my mind to like fix Red Dead 2 Online, but I don't know.
Yeah, because it's a year and a half, or no, a year and 2 months or a month
way out.
Yeah, after release now. So
yeah,
I guess I'm kind of ignorant about how that version goes, but I feel like Grand Theft Auto, like the main thing is you're always building up so you get better cars and own better properties and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a reward tier to like drive you to get more cash, right, and continue in that ecosystem.
So like I don't know if that's the same thing in Red Dead.
It doesn't seem like you can do it the same way.
You start with a miniature pony, and then you start building your way up to a Clydesdale that pulls Budweiser.
If you have $10,000, you can get the deluxe bath.
Right. Where you'll see elbow.
Yeah, I think it's hampered by its setting, because you can put ridiculous shit in Grand Theft Auto Online and make it make sense. Like there can be a UFO, like who cares,
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, and it's also interesting. There's rumored like huge overhauls to Grand Theft Auto Online coming, as well as supposedly an expansion to that game, like a new map, new area, which I guess if you're going to take a game that's still hot, you're already bringing it to next gen. This is a good step. Like it would be great. I would love to see it. I hope it's not only in the online portion, but I think even if it was, I would probably be interested in checking that out. So.
Will we see another Grand Theft, like a new one? Yeah. Do you think we'll see that on new gen stuff? I
think we'll see 6 this gen. I think they have to. Because typically they've been on like after they got off the PS2, Xbox era,
which was every 2 years.
Right. They went to a 5-year model roughly. And we're we're way past that. I mean, it's just bonkers. So yeah, I think we'll see it. But now the question is like, I think by the time Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, especially for people who played 4, we were all kind of stale of the formula. And I was like, yeah, you can do more. There's more like graphics and things, but like how much can you improve it? And I think the 3 main character story tier was what made that game great. So how do you innovate on that, I guess, without just doing it again? It's kind of my big question. So,
well, and then how do you make a political satire when that became reality?
Yeah, it's true. You launch COVID as an attack on,
I guess,
on Vice City, and that's true. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, I think. But yeah, I think we'll see. I think we'll see a 6. I'm excited to see what they could do. I would love to see them keep the realism of 5, but bring back some of the stuff they cut, like the firehouse missions. Like they cut a lot of the ancillary like jobs, if you will, to make Grand Theft Auto 5 work. And I would love to see more of that come back. But I don't know. We'll see.
I still have to throw more than an hour and a half into that game.
That is probably one of the greatest stories in gaming. Like just as long as you're not offended by like sex, violence, and a lot of swearing, like that is the storytelling, and that is top notch. Bonkers, but top notch. Yeah. GameStop TikTok challenge. What is this?
Oh, that was last week. That was last time.
Oh, I read that. I did it twice. I read the wrong thing twice. We did this before the show too. Star Wars Fallen Order. What's that?
Oh yeah, that's on EA Play or Game Pass.
What?
Yeah.
So I played through that.
That's pretty amazing. Well, I mean, I guess that amazing is a overused word, but my son wanted that game so bad. He wanted to play it. I almost paid full price for it. So to see that on Game Pass, I was like, yes, Merry Christmas to you. Free gifts.
I mean, I'm going to sound ignorant here, but like, I don't remember this one. Like, is this a new game? Like, what? Is it a shooter? Is it a lightsaber thing? What are we talking?
Well, it came out last year, and I thought it was just going to be a Star Wars action game.
One. Okay, yeah, the single player game, right? That like people like hyped, and then it immediately fell under. Okay,
right.
Yeah.
So is it good?
Yeah, I was really surprised what it actually was. I mean, it's like Uncharted with lightsabers. Mm-hmm. So a lot of
that must not be on PC yet. I'll have to check it on my Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't know. Does the EA Play stuff go on PC?
I don't know if I've noticed it. No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
That's crazy. The EA on Game Pass is EA on Game Pass is crazy. Just seeing how many games are coming through.
Like, because EA Game Pass was like X amount per year. Like, the dollar signs don't add up to me as to like what the incentive was to draw that in. At least from an EA perspective, I get it from a Microsoft one, but it's a lot of games, right? Like all their sports games, all the early access stuff, or no?
You don't get the early access stuff, I don't think. Okay. You get the retired like vault games or whatever they call it.
Okay.
So it's all the previous year's sports games and then like
you could play 20 different Maddens if you wanted to.
Exciting, riveting stuff.
Right. But some of those bigger games, I mean, I'm used to seeing a lot of the same stuff on Game Pass. You'll get a couple of good games, and then there's a lot of like, I'm probably never going to play that. And like I said, it's been a while since I've jumped on Game Pass, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, and I forgot about the EA thing, and there's a ton of games to check out and play, and that Star Wars one, I haven't checked it out, but I'm kind of excited about it.
I need somebody to play through Halo 4 with me, because I realized I never finished that. So somebody should download that.
I've never played a Halo game.
Oh, well then you shouldn't start with. I mean, I can start at the beginning with you. I don't care.
We still have to do Diablo first.
We've got one chapter left, but that's not even the best part.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. We should focus on Diablo.
Finish Diablo. Then
speaking of
Halo.
Yes. Speaking of Xbox, there's some interesting news that has come to light as far as emulation, which apparently was a thing on current Xbox Ones, and thanks to backwards compatibility is available on the S and the X. You can, for $30, request to turn your console into a development unit officially through Microsoft. It disables the ability to play any actual games, like official license purchase games, but you can sideload, theoretically develop software, but you can sideload all sorts of stuff, including RetroArch, and you can emulate the shit out of a lot of games on your new Xbox consoles. Apparently it is like supposed to be the video I saw from Modern Vintage Gamer. Yeah, he really leaned into the S. Like, this is like the focal point for the S, because it doesn't do disk anyway, so you might as well just load this thing up with ROMs. And yeah, apparently it does PS2 like a beast, PSP, Dreamcast, the Dolphin GameCube emulator.
Jeez.
It runs incredibly well. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I just love the headline when the rumors were that PS5 was going to do backwards compatibility for everything.
Your Xbox can, but your PS5 can't. I mean, there's certainly RetroArch is not infringing on any legal grounds. However, the ROMs that you are running through it potentially are, because I don't know too many people who emulate games that actually own all the games that they've then ripped the images for and put them into their emulators, but legal gray area.
Yeah, and once you get into those newer consoles too, then you get into the whole BIOS stuff too, which is another whole layer to that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a good amount of like fiddling around that goes into a lot of the finer settings, but pretty interesting. Especially because with the Dolphin stuff, I think you can do some Wii stuff that will upgrade. And I don't know. I mean, Wii emulation, I'm sure, is tricky just based on what the game's controls are, but a lot of games can work out okay.
Yeah, like you said, I think they upgrade to HD on a lot of those.
Yeah.
Or at least put a good filter on them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was amazing watching that video at how really unintimidating a lot of that seemed for people who are like a little bit technical. Like, I mean, it seems like the people have put the resources out there. You're just directing it to links. This is legit official through Microsoft, the ability to go into this dev mode. The only thing I wasn't clear on was he said you could only have your console in dev mode or the other one, but it wasn't clear to me, like, if I flipped back to standard mode and wanted to hop online and play a game with my buddies, if I then jumped back into dev mode, was everything there, right? Or do I have to reset everything up? And that, I guess, wasn't answered, or at least not that I saw. Ideally, if you were just toggling back and forth and everything stayed the same, it'd be excellent. I don't know if that's the case, but it's pretty intriguing. It'd be another valid point for picking up that S, which is already at that good price point anyway.
Yeah. Plus, you could develop whatever you wanted on there.
Yeah. Some new erotic photo hunt games, perhaps? I don't know.
Are you going to supply the photography?
Nate's better. He's got a better eye for genitalia and lighting.
I was going to be the model.
Oh.
So you guys are going to have to take pictures of me.
Can I use your camera?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's got a great zoom lens.
Macro. Nice. So what's this Nomad Prototype? I hadn't heard about this.
Yeah, so Sega had some live stream that they were talking about old Sega stuff, and they showed off the prototype to the Nomad, which is crazy looking. It looks like a Japanese Saturn, kind of with the color scheme of a Japanese Saturn. And like the buttons are like straight out of a 6-button Genesis controller.
Okay.
And the D-pad looks better
than that squishy thing we got. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think overall I like the production Nomad.
So does that mean that they had at one point intended on having it in other markets outside of the US? If it was like Japanese themed?
It probably was. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if the whole thing's been translated, but it looks really weird. It looks kind of like how the original DS looked. It kind of gave me that. Yeah. Kind of gave me those vibes, which I don't know. I like the model of the original, like the oblong kind of screen that the US Nomad has. Like, that's badass, and I don't know why I think that's so cool, but hey, Sega. I was a Sega kid, and they did a lot of dumb shit like that to make things look cool, right?
Yeah, it is a decent looking console for being like this handheld hybrid console thing that doesn't need to exist.
Could be slightly smaller, but
but then how would you cram all the batteries into it?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess you don't cram them into it. You strap it on the back, don't you? It's like that whole extra shell.
Apparently they discontinued that in 1999, and I'm sitting here thinking, who was buying a Nomad in 1999?
Oof,
that's Dreamcast. That was like Dreamcast.
I mean, I feel like that held true, though. I mean, I remember walking into like Toys R Us well after. I mean, we were talking like probably GBA era stuff and seeing like displays with Game Gear games. And I mean, that stuff stayed in production for way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. It's a mess.
Yeah. They must not have made a ton of them. They're just not many out there. It's
like one of the rarest consoles, like 250,000 units. Like,
really? Oh.
Possibly rarer than a Jaguar. But I don't know.
I believe it. Yeah.
I mean, the Jaguar's the ultimate home console, though, so.
Silence.
Out of respect.
What do you have on there? Unravel 2? That's a EA.
Oh,
Play one.
Sure. Yeah. So we were sitting around, my son and I, a couple weeks ago. It was right before Thanksgiving. So there was like, my wife and daughter were going over to the in-laws or sister-in-laws to like bake stuff and get ready. And it's like, well, we got an afternoon. Like, let's figure out what we want to play. And he'd been begging me to play. Well, we started Unraveled together. And, it's one player. So it's like, well, I got Unraveled 2 for like $1 at some point on some sale. So let's play through that. And we played through it. It's a fun 2-player co-op game. The thing with this Unraveled games is like there's this whole weird element. Like you're cute little yarn people, kitten-looking things running through a real-world environment. But then there's this whole like storytelling that happens with like ghost images of people behind and like children were getting abducted or running from people, which I don't understand. Yeah, it doesn't. It's like I couldn't tell if they were zombies or like Nazis chasing children. It made no sense and it added nothing to the gameplay. So I was like, why couldn't this just have been a cute like yarn people game? I don't understand. And then so we had fun. It was maybe
it's a Nazi history
like, it's just
lesson.
Bizarre. It makes no sense. So and I want to say this game is probably like 3 hours, 3.5 long. But the funny thing is like they prepare you incrementally with these puzzles, which for the most part pretty intuitive. You don't have to like strain your brain too much. But then they get to this last level. There's a puzzle in there that is so far beyond anything they've possibly shown you as a previous example or seen that I don't know how you would probably people way smarter than me, but I don't know how you would figure this out without a Let's Play. And in fact, I had to go to a Let's Play and the guy that I was watching spent about 20 minutes on the section that we were stuck on too. So I couldn't have been the only one, but yeah, aside from that, I mean, if you like platforming games, throw away whatever the hell story was happening in the back of that. And you got a kid that's interested in playing it, I'd recommend it. That one's fun. It's a fun co-op afternoon. I don't know what's happening with the zombie people and the Nazi kid. It's weird things. So
it's a weird choice. Would not expect that.
It wasn't clear to me. It was very strange.
I feel like I have to play it now so that
I mean, probably
I can correct you to be like, there were no Nazis in there. I mean, what are you drinking?
The thing is, it was like so vague. I could not make out a narrative of it at all. It was weird. But all these little furry string people put a light in a lighthouse and saved the world. The sun came out. Good things, I guess. Nazis are gone.
How long did it take you to go through?
It was like 4 hours. We played it mostly in one afternoon, and then we just finished the last level like the following night after supper. So yeah, not long. Not long. I mean, I liked the first one too. I never beat it because we were kind of co-oping it together. But yeah, it's worth it. I mean, it's on Game Pass, I know. So
yeah, I have it downloaded, but we it's either between that or Peggle 2, and the rest kids pick Peggle.
Well, once you get through Peggle, you do some Unraveled 2. Figure out the mystery of the ghost children.
Yep. My wife played The Sims 4 on console, which seems like a nightmare.
What do you play?
Why start that now?
Oh, I don't know.
Years, hasn't it, since they came out?
Yeah. It's pretty much at the end of its life, I would imagine. But
right.
Yeah.
How do you play The Sims? I mean, is there an actual story to it?
Not. I mean, there's scenarios, but usually not really. It's you just play their life, basically.
Oh, sure.
Like when they have to pee, you put them on the bathroom. When they're
it's
not
like caring for your children or elderly parents.
Yeah,
the game,
pretty much. But yeah, the controller, like the whole thing, is made for a computer, so like controller just seems awful. But
isn't like 4 like super zoomed in, right? Like the other ones were very far removed, but now you're like up close with the characters and stuff. Or is it still not that way?
Yeah, it seems like it a little bit. I think you can control it a little bit and zoom out a little bit more, but yeah, it's not like the only one I played was the original back on PC.
Right.
But
funny story about that. I pirated that back on the original PC, and then I bought a computer to move into my apartment with my fiance at the time. We were going to move into this apartment together our second year in college. So we had the shared PC that I pirated The Sims on. and I downloaded the legal version of this game, started a game. I named the female character after her, made it look like her, named the male character after me, got us a house. I barbecued myself to death. She drowned in the pool. And that's pretty much how that relationship worked out. So I would like to say that The Sims accurately predicted my life in that context. So I didn't die.
Did she really drown in a pool?
She drowned in a pool.
Are you serious?
Not really. No, but I mean, the relationship was a dumpster fire is what I was trying to say.
I got it.
Did you take the ladder out?
I did. I think there was no ladder. I put a pool in and maybe there wasn't a ladder in it. And yeah, she went in and drowned. But I barbecued myself to death. We weren't getting along anyway. There was like feces and garbage all over the apartment, which was again precursor college apartment that happened.
Yeah.
So, The Sims is a powerful game.
You really shouldn't set up that hot tub. I feel like
well, you're probably right. I should maybe not touch the barbecue grill either. We're on to something here. Yeah, it'd have been more accurate if I added like another male character for her to like cheat on me with. That'd have been probably a more accurate scenario. Pool drowning, but we'll just take pool in replacement for other dude's cock.
Oh my gosh!
So it's all right. I'm over it. It's been a long time.
Sounds like it.
Clearly, not scarred emotionally at all. I'm well adjusted. I'm fine. It was a long time ago.
The important thing is you shouldn't steal software. That's the lesson.
That's the lesson. That's the lesson, kids. Yep. Do not install that on your latest VPR Matrix PC. The hottest thing for 9 months before everyone forgot about that brand.
I've never heard of that. Wow.
Oh my God. That was like really like Best Buy was pushing the shit out of that. It was a good computer for the time. It ran really well for a long time. Finally, the power source went out, and by the time the power source went out on me, it was like one of those things where it's like, well, that old ass power source is like $150 to buy new, so your computer's not worth that.
Yeah,
that's where we left it. Ran WoW for many years after that, though. It was a good computer. There's some more RAM in there. Put a DVD burner. Good stuff.
You upped your pirating game at that point?
Yes. Yeah, we went through that. Did you ever go through that phase too, where you're like, I lived in like towns. You guys lived out of the country a little bit, but like I lived in like towns where we saw Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, so we'd pay for the monthly like unlimited rentals. So every day Jill would get off of work because I worked a later job. She would go get 2 DVDs. She would bring them home. She would copy them. I would get home at 8 p.m. We'd go back to the video store, get 2 more DVDs. I would bring them home. I would copy them. And we did this for months, for years. I have binders of DVDs, hundreds of burned DVDs.
And now there's proof, government, that you're listening to this podcast.
The thing is like, it got weird once we had kids. Like we were kind of over it at that point, but like kids are like trying to like figure out the movie and like they can't read. It's like a scribbled Sharpie of like B movie means nothing to them. So that's kind of when I was like, it's not really worth it. Plus, by the time I had kids, everything was out of business as far as like movie rentals. But
yeah,
it had a good run for a while. The best was like because you'd be in there and you'd see the regulars and they thought you were a fucking movie buff, right? They're like, "Oh yeah, what'd you think about blah blah blah?" I'm like, "Fantastic movie,
really really good."
These, please. Yeah, like never watched this, but yeah, it was pretty funny. It was something to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably preserved a lot of movies that are never going to like ever come to Blu-ray or be put on any streaming service. So there's that.
Well, that's the thing. Like
you just made it sound like a good thing. Like you just, I did something good.
Yes. I'm a historian. You're welcome.
Preservation.
I mean, if you watched them, you watched them basically once, right? So like,
yeah, right.
It's pretty much the same as renting it anyway.
Right.
Just watching it.
That's true. Yeah, and I never sold them. I never.
Yeah.
That we know of.
That crap. I did burn a bunch of them for promotional use in a store that I ran because I didn't trust people not to steal Blu-rays, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
The good old days. Now it's all Plex servers. Andy's the pirate of the future. He's got his Plex server.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still kind of do that from Redbox. Be like, I don't have time to watch this by the time I need to bring it back, but
dude, I should totally
throw it on the Plex server.
Install Plex and get hooked up to your server, because you probably get so much stuff on there that's worth watching.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Probably not.
You get TV series at all?
That became a pain in the ass, so I didn't really do much.
Sure, multiple discs.
Yeah. I started doing The Simpsons, and then it's like, well, that's just on Disney Plus now. So
that's true, yeah. And it stopped being funny after the 10th season, so.
Mm-hmm. Every time I think about how old that show is, it makes me feel extremely old, but.
Oh, and I'm old enough to remember when that aired, because you guys were still like probably like blah, 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 blah. And I just remember being like first grade, and it was like everything Bart Simpson, like Bart Simpson toys, Bart Simpson t-shirts for kids, Bart Simpson water bottles. And like, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. The Simpsons was like the dirty show. Like I had a Bart Simpson, like, don't have a cowman t-shirt. I had the water bottle, but I bet I didn't get to watch. And this was in first grade. So I was probably like, I would have been 6, right? Yeah, 6, 7. I don't think I got to watch The Simpsons, an episode ever, until I was about 12. Like, no joke. It just couldn't happen. And then by the time I got to watch it, it was like on syndication. So it was like the thing that my family all watched together after we had dinner. So like went from this weird, like evil thing to family fun time. Very strange.
It's pretty much the same thing that exactly for me too.
Yeah.
Once they got exposed to it, and they're like, this is not that bad at all. And it's kind of funny. So
no, yeah. At the worst, it's just very, very dumb. Because like there's really nothing crude or graphic about it. They didn't even really swear.
Not much, no.
Yeah, I look back at it now, like how I used to look at the Flintstones when I was a kid. My dad would explain, like, no, this was a sitcom for adults, and you're watching it, and you're like, yeah, I kind of see that. Because this sucks, and it's dry, and I don't like it. Like, that's how I look at The Simpsons now. I'm like, it's the Flintstones of the current day. It's just...
So we're due for that live-action movie of The Simpsons pretty soon.
God, if that ever happens.
That'd be awful. Who would play Homer?
That's a good question.
Who would play Homer? Who would play Bart?
Jason Alexander would play Homer. He'd have to gain the weight back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Bart, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Probably the Spider-Man kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I could see that. It wouldn't work out.
No.
I always thought it was so like questionable and kind of laughable too, like how long they waited to do like the movie. So it was like The Simpsons was already dead by the time the movie came out to me, and now I'm like, it's been 10 years since that movie came out. Like,
I was gonna say we're probably farther away from the movie being out than the Simpsons to the movie.
How it's still on TV, I do not understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a diehard Simpsons guy too, but at some point it just stopped being funny. In its defense, it didn't stop being funny in the way that Family Guy stopped being funny or Futurama stopped being funny. I'm going to take Futurama back. That was a good show. But Family Guy, like, they ran that down the crapper. I mean, at least, I guess if you were still watching The Simpsons, you'd probably mostly enjoy the integrity of what's left of the show. But I cannot tell you the last time I saw a new episode. Probably early college.
Yeah, there's way more Simpsons that I haven't watched than I have, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think after I left home, I don't even know if I probably watched it all the way through high school because I didn't have Comedy Central at the time, so there was no like South Park or anything. And Nate's like, what's a Simpson?
No, I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid, just like you. And I kind of forgot about it as I got older, or just never paid attention to it. So I guess what my parents wanted worked. But then when I got to college, I had a roommate that had all the seasons. Nice. And so I was bored, nothing to watch. There's no cable or anything like that in the dorm rooms. And so I was, with my sweaty palms and shaking, put the DVD in because I was scared. No, I put the DVD in and I missed all my classes for I don't know how many days, and I just watched one after the other.
Dude, that is
was binging.
Such a good point in time too, because like you forget like how the Simpsons were always there, but like when the DVD platform came about and like you could get a series in like a box this big or a season, like the Simpsons on DVD was like the biggest shit out there. You know what I mean? Like I just remember that being such a big deal. And like, yeah, I mean, I was in college too, and everyone was buying those, like because they were releasing them like every few months to get the new season, to get caught up to like whatever season they were. I think they were going to be celebrating like the 10th season or something crazy like that.
50th.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a great point. Like I remember everyone just clamoring to get those DVDs, and I never did for some reason. Like I know I contemplated it, but I suppose I was a broke college student, right?
Right. So, I'm sure they weren't cheap.
No. Run out of that excess aid money after you buy your Xbox. So.
I really love the idea of figuring out who would play each character in a live action. I don't like the idea of a live action. I like the idea of who's going to play the part, though.
Well, let's do it. Let's do the main family. So Jason Alexander, we've agreed, is going to be. Or hold on, do we do who's the guy from Roseanne? John Goodman?
I was thinking John Goodman, but I don't think he could do the voice. I don't think he could do like the dumb sounding voice. I
think John Goodman's a good fit, though, right? It's not going to be true to life. Can't think of anybody who fits the bill better, who's got the stature. And John Goodman's done some goofy stuff.
Has he?
Yeah. Not recently.
No.
So who's Marge?
I feel like you could put in any sitcom mom as Marge, because she doesn't. There's nothing really notable about her.
Kristen Wiig.
Sure. Okay, yeah, perfect. Yep.
Kristen Wiig.
And John Goodman.
She's kind of goofy looking, and yeah.
Dude, what about Jason Sudeikis? Like, if you made him wear a fat suit and like shave his head off,
yeah,
he'd be a pretty good Homer. Kristen Wiig is a good one. So the kids, we already decided that Spider-Man dude is the new Spider-Man is Bart. So Lisa. Ariana Grande? Is that strange?
I'm surprised you even know that name.
I feel like that could
that's a tough one.
Beyonce, does she blow a saxophone?
There's not a lot of girls that are like, I'm cast as the nerdy teenage girl, you know?
I feel like Ariana could do it because she's like small enough as an adult that she could still play a child, and they could just like use makeup to make up the rest, right?
Yeah.
What about the never ending or the never growing baby? Maggie.
I mean, anybody, right? She doesn't have to speak.
Right. They just have to suck on a pacifier.
Yes. CG'd baby with Danny DeVito. Deep fake Danny DeVito face. Oh my God, speaking of that, did you guys see that deep fake this week from Step Brothers with Schwarzenegger and Stallone? And it's that whole scene where it's like, did we just become best friends? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucking hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that'd be Danny. I like the Danny DeVito baby. That's great. Yeah, so I think really the only questionable one there is Homer, because I feel like the other ones could work, but Homer I still don't like.
Who's the nerdy kid, the pastor's son?
Bill Hader. Bill Hader, 100% Homer.
Yeah.
He does the dumb, like, dry face, like fat suit. Perfect. Yes, we nailed it.
Okay, so basically half of the SNL cast.
And part of the Marvel universe.
Right.
Well, and Ariana Grande was
I don't know why she got there, but she's there now.
Yeah,
so.
Well, she was engaged to the guy from
the SNL guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's in the family.
Okay.
Nice. I like it.
What about Keenan Thompson can play? Who's the guy at the bar?
The Black Doctor. That's who Keenan Thompson plays.
Oh my gosh.
Well, okay, who's Ned Flanders?
Who's Ned Flanders?
The lead singer from Oakley Dokley will make his first big screen debut as Ned Flanders.
Yes, that's great. Good. That's great. Who's the pastor's son, the nerdy kid? Who's that guy? Like the chubby
Milhouse?
Yeah, Milhouse. I think that's another key person that we got to figure out.
Yeah,
because he's got that creepy voice.
Probably the
weird
dude from
bowl cut.
Who's the dude from the League? Who also does all that voice acting? Hold on. He'd be perfect. He's not a kid though.
What about Wee Man? No, he's gone, right? Did he die, Wee Man?
He's still alive.
I don't know. I don't know.
Nick Kroll would be the perfect Milhouse. He's this dude.
He kind of looks like it.
Yeah, and he does the face, and he's dyes hair blue. He's there.
There we go. Live action Simpsons.
And I think what's his name's Flanders' kids would have to be Will Ferrell and what's his name? John C. Reilly. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect.
That's great.
I love it.
I love it.
There you go. Let's make this happen. 2021.
Yeah,
Tim Heidecker for Ned Flanders.
Yes. Yes, that's great. You would do a good Ned. I like it.
Yeah. Man, you could go forever.
Yeah, this is good. Just too many ancillary characters.
Yeah.
Just do one scene. We just need one scene just to see how uncomfortable it'd make everybody.
Like screen test.
Why would you do this? Why would you make this right now? Do we paint their bodies yellow? Or
I just remember how uncomfortable I got watching that like Treehouse of Horrors where there was like the pseudo 3D Homer in the real world. I was like, oh, this is not right. Like this doesn't work for me. So like seeing actual people.
I think they recently did another 3D thing of it too.
Nice.
Yep. They just need a skit. They all run to the couch and that's all they need.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It'll probably happen someday.
2021. It's done. It's actually in the works right now. We didn't. We called it on this podcast, everyone.
It's already going to be better than the Monster Hunter movie. That's a fact.
Hey, the new trailer has a cat in it.
I still have yet to go back and watch that, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't be.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. Is that a show? I mean, I know we're a little rusty because we came back from a big break.
Oh, it's like we never missed one, guys.
Mm-hmm. So here's my challenge. We
accomplished a lot.
We did. Here's my challenge, and I want to get this on air so people know if they're listening to the end. I think next episode we dive in like Christmas memories, like consoles we got, games around the holidays, all that good stuff, because that'll air right before Christmas. I think a couple days. So
yep,
be perfect.
It's gonna happen.
Maybe we should see about this too. It might be fun to get like our kids to talk for like 10 minutes on the podcast.
Yeah, we could do that.
Doesn't have to happen, but something to think about. But for sure, Christmas memories and how we're destroying our children's Christmas memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're okay, parents.
The hard part is buying the games now and then waiting. Like, I just want to play it now.
I bought it for me.
Didn't have that problem, right? Because they didn't give a shit. They're like, this is a dumb thing. But we're like, no, we really want to play these also.
Yeah.
It's unfair. It's unfair. That's been a problem because people have been asking for gift ideas for our kids. And they're like, what about games? I'm like, Jill, I buy everything day it comes out. If my son wants it and it's a video game, we're getting it. So it's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christmas memories. We'll do that.
Love it.
Next time. And then I suppose for now, Nate, do you remember how to end the show?
Yep. See you guys later.
Nailed it.
Well, friends, send us your list of characters you'd like to see in a live action Simpsons movie. Send that email to us. Actually, I do have to point out this was a highlight. I got a text from a listener, and they heard the T-Rex story, and they took a picture of one in a thrift store, and they said, "How much is this worth?" So thank you for that. You know who you are. But send those live action casting calls to us at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of those great things. And you can find all things Weekend Rental at weekendpodcast.com. As always, friends, be kind. Rewind.
Month-old bananas.
Vasectomy.
Don't take the ladder out of the hot tub.